Now, this is a new look for those of you that are seeing it on the Fox Sports app, on YouTube, on the Twitters, as I am in LA because I was here earlier today as we got set for number 8 USC taking on Colorado at Folsom in what was a sold-out venue and a game that quite literally lived up to the hype. We did not know what to expect from Colorado coming after that 42-6 destruction in Autzen, but they got back home, they got in front of their home crowd, and they gave USC a game. Now, did it always look like they were going to give USC a game? Absolutely not. 7 minutes left to go in the third quarter. It is 41-14. And at this live tailgate earlier today, I was seated next to former USC quarterback Cody Kessler and former Colorado running back Phillip Lindsay. And those dudes were a basket of emotions, as was I, because this game was back and forth in the way that, frankly, we kind of thought it might be, but not in the same way. 2016 Oklahoma, Texas Tech would have been the pinnacle of what this could have been. And toward the end of that, Sheduer Sanders was trying to do everything he could to try to give us something like a thrilling finish to the game, even as Caleb Williams looked very much in control and very much like a guy who is going to win the Heisman Trophy and perhaps be the first player since Archie Griffin, or just the second player ever, to win the Heisman Trophy twice in the same college football career. 30 of 40 for 403 passing yards, 6 TDs. It's kind of funny because I was teasing Kessler about what Caleb was doing, because Kessler threw for 7 touchdowns against Colorado in 2014. That remains the record at USC for the most touchdowns thrown in a single game. And by the end of the third quarter, all of us believed, hey, Caleb Williams might get to 8 in all of this, but then we get to see Colorado really have some fight in them. And they showed this early on. I want to be clear about that. From the first 2 series, it was clear that Colorado was not going to get beat down the way that they got beat down against Oregon. We had a ball game in front of us, and as it started to get out of hand, there was this thought about what needs to happen, right? We needed to see turnovers, and we needed to see the offense take a step forward. We need to see Sheduer Sanders find a guy that could catch the football and get yards after the catch, as they were not able to run the ball. And that's what happened. But it wasn't Jimmy Horn Jr., and it wasn't Xavier Weaver, and it wasn't Dylan Edwards. And you know what? At times, it wasn't even Michael Harrison. It was a true freshman from Vivian, Louisiana at North Caddo High School named Omarion Miller, who came with the goods in the second half, did almost all of his destruction of that USC defense in the second half. 7 catches, 196 yards, and a touchdown. Miraculous touchdown. Great throw from Sheduer Sanders, and even better catch from Omarion Miller. Had me thinking, my goodness, where's this guy been all along? And this is one of those great stories, because as much as we missed not getting to see Travis Hunter play against Caleb Williams, against USC, either wide receiver or cornerback, as much as we missed Sheduer Sanders being out there to do his trash talk and maybe make a play that forces a turnover that maybe makes this game a little bit tighter, we got to see a guy like Omarion Miller have a moment. Now, we hear often the phrase next man up. I don't necessarily like it, because it means that somebody has to go down for you to get a shot. But when they do, and you are ready to go, we get to talk about you. So much so that Sheduer Sanders in the postgame was having to tell people who Omarion Miller was, because all of us were going, who is this dude? He's not on any of the transfer lists that we read. We hadn't seen him get real game time in the first 4 games of the season. And here he is out here making plays in one-on-one. If anything, my criticism of Sheduer Sanders had more to do with not getting the ball to that guy earlier and often, as he was trying to engineer this comeback. And I'm looking at what he was able to do at the end. 30 of 45 for 371 yards and 4 TDs with that interception, the second interception of the year. But that also just does not seem like the kind of game that he played all game, right? The first half, he could barely move the football. They could barely complete passes. They were getting pressure to him, but he wasn't going down with sacks, which is a very good statistic for Colorado. I think he gave up 1 sack against USC, a team that prides itself on tackles for loss as well as turnovers, after he was on his back 7 times against Oregon. So that's number 1. Number 2 is when he found somebody that could catch the ball and make things happen after the fact, he went back to him, and he ended up making this game tighter. Toward the end of the game, we're really talking about a team that was trailing 41-14 being a play away from making this game one that could go into overtime. We had the 4th and 5 late in the fourth quarter. I didn't like what they had drawn up. You take a sack when you ought to get rid of the football, draw something up, maybe that tight end screen of Michael Harrison, and you try to get that first down. Maybe that changes the game. But USC gives you a gift. You give them the ball back. They charge into the red zone. I'm thinking, along with Kessler, that you're just going to run the football. You're going to hand the ball to Marshawn Lloyd. Nobody's been able to stop him running the ball all day. No. Either it was a called QB draw because there was a lineman that was really far downfield and didn't get a flag, or Caleb Williams just told, if you don't see anything, hold the ball, take the sack. When I'm going, no, just limit all of this. Get your Heisman Trophy winner out of harm's way and see if Marshawn can't pick up the first down in this game. But not only do you not do that, you set up what looked like an easy field goal, and your kicker misses the field goal, hooks it to the right? So you're giving Colorado an opportunity. And what did we see inside of 5 minutes left to play? But run play after run play after run play, or so it seemed, as they were trying to make a 2-score game into a 1-score game. Now, as we're watching this, the question is, who's calling the plays here? Because surely Sean Lewis knew that you need to strike quicker, and every time you run the football, the clock is moving. Remember, the clock rules are different this year. You do not stop the clock with a first down, right? Except inside the last 2 minutes of the game. But even so, you didn't have time to waste. So in the post game, I got to hear Sheduer Sanders said, no, I checked in the run plays because I didn't like the look that we were given. And I said, okay, this is where Sheduer Sanders has some growing to do. We were talking about on the live show earlier today whether or not Sheduer Sanders was a first-round draft pick. And there were times when you saw that. But the things that are preventing him from reaching that next level, where your mind, body, and soul must be one, are being able to throw the ball when everybody knows you're going to throw the ball. You have to know you don't have any time to waste. You have to know running the football ain't going to get this done. You can't hand the ball off in winning time. And remember, this is who Sheduer Sanders has become for us. He is the guy that you want to have the ball in winning time. Now, you could say 2 possessions ain't winning time, but how do you get to winning time? You put the ball in your best player's hands and you ask him to go cook. Sheduer Sanders gave that privilege to a tailback. I want to see Sheduer Sanders take ownership of that moment, say, okay, cool, you want to drop 8? I will throw at you. I will complete these passes because we have to have it. Instead, you get there and you don't have any time left. So you have to onside kick and you have to hope that you get the ball back. Probably not going to do it. You wanted to give yourself some more opportunities to get the defense out there to get a stop, give you one more shot so you can go to that winning time, right? That was the difference in the game. The time was working against you. And I was saying this with 5 minutes left to go. You can't just sit on the ball down 2 scores and you were at home. So you had every reason to go fast because the crowd is not making a mess for you. The picture is the picture. They're playing the defense they're playing. I need you to go out and beat them. But again, nobody thought that Colorado was going to be in this game, especially after what they showed against Oregon. It's 21.5. It's the spread at the start of the game. It ends up being 48-41. Colorado more than covers, but shows you that they got a little backbone to them. What I challenged them to do this week was play for the name on the back and not just for the Coach Prime that is leading you from the front. Because teams are playing against Prime, and Prime ain't in pads no more. So you need to rise to the challenge. You need to demonstrate that you are here to win football games, and you are only going to go as far as your feet, your arms, you carrying the football will take you. I think we're going to see better play from Colorado down the stretch, and I think this team is going to go bowling. That's what I think. I think that they can win 6 in the regular season and win 7 in the bowl game. I even think they could win 7, 8 if things go their way, depending on what they show. Because if you are Colorado, you feel outstanding about this loss that you took to USC, because it kind of feels like, okay, we're building. If you're SC, we have questions for you. We have lots of things to answer. USC fans will tell me the defense has to be able to stop somebody. They have to put the clamps on people. And I'm going, that's not the defense you run. The defense that Alex Grinch runs is predicated on tackles for loss and turnovers. He doesn't mind giving up yardage. He wants to have changes of possession. So if you beat him over the top, okay, you're going to beat him over the top, but he's going to get home to you, and they're going to jump routes. And they had one. They had a pick in this game. They were able to make a mess of that pocket, and we're still waiting on his offensive line to gel. But is it the kind of defense that can lead you to win a national championship? Not today. Not today. I still think it's one of the 4 best teams in college football, but that has as much to do with Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley as it does the deficiencies that are on that defense. Because if that defense was as good as Georgia, Michigan, or even Texas, we would all feel much comfortable about picking USC, not just to win the Pac-12 or to make the college football playoff, but to win that elusive national championship, which is the last thing that Lincoln Riley has to do in this sport. It's also a good opportunity for me to remind you, Caleb Williams has not won a championship of any kind as a starting quarterback. That's important to note. We're talking about the best player in the sport who has not won the Pac-12, Big 12, or played in the playoff, and certainly not a national championship. These are the things they're chasing at SC, so they probably feel much worse about this win than Colorado does about this loss, though nobody likes to lose.